I commend this bill to the House.
I call Marama Davidson.
Tēnā koutou. I think we all understand in this House we are pleased to be standing in unison to support some real measures finally on actually understanding what is going on with children and whānau living with poverty and how we are going to have a set of indicators. And this is historical. This is a historical day on this third reading. And I think we're in unison when we stand and rise to say that we are pleased, that we are honoured to speak on this. And I think too there will be no disagreement when I say that I'm not honoured to have to stand on this. I'm not honoured that we have reached this situation of poverty here in Aotearoa for our tamariki and whānau that has called us to account. And now we are sort of doing a bit of backlog work here. Things should never have gotten this bad. There is absolutely no excuse or reason why things have gotten this bad, why we have tamariki who are sent to hospital from poor, inadequate and unhealthy housing, why incomes and household incomes are so low that tamariki do not have all they need to live healthy, happy, dignified lives. And I think we all agree that this is not what we should be looking at today. The country, as it is today, we've just had the Child Poverty Monitor report come through, is not what we would want. So yes, this is an incredible step. It's a start that often frustrated former co-leader Me Tiria Tudei and her particular work to bring a similar bill into last Parliament while we were in opposition. I did absolutely, in this third reading, want to acknowledge her and the long-standing call from the Green Party to at least commit to child poverty reduction targets, and that it was with frustration many, many times she stood in this House to ask the question again and again and again of at least committing to targets. So, in that vein, I am incredibly proud of my colleague, Right Honourable Prime Minister and Minister for Child Poverty Reduction, in taking this leadership step and bringing us to this point today, having a clear commitment, a clear reduction target across a set of indicators, a range of indicators. And I firstly wanted to offer my sincere congratulations and alongside Honourable Tracy Martin, who will have a particular leadership role under her ministerial portfolios in the area of child poverty reduction. I wanted to pick up on my colleagues, their leadership in this issue, because I have sat with them in the halls of Parliament and am truly satisfied and pleased with the absolute integrity and genuine commitment that they have as professionals, as politicians and as human beings to this call for transforming our nation to one that is fair. I wanted to talk about, and I think if we go to section 6AC in the bill, I wanted to acknowledge that it stipulates that children should be viewed in the context of their families, whānau, hapu and iwi, other culturally recognised family groups and communities. And this is particularly relevant for me, as this will be that we heard this consistency through submissions firstly and always have, particularly from Māori, that we, while this is called the Child Poverty Reduction Bill, that we cannot separate children from their context. And if we are being truly honest, we are talking about children and their whānau, whatever that may look like, their whānau and community, and their community's ability, their whānau, their family's ability to raise and nourish their children in a way that will sustain dignity, well-being and happiness. And so I'm pleased to see that come through in this bill, 6AC. So I wanted to pick that out. I wanted to pick up on Minister Martin's work to ensuring that we had the lived experiences and insights of children included in the work to pull together the draft of this bill. And that is important. I'm pleased that we are constantly hearing through this government's program of reporting, reviews and inquiries. We are constantly hearing a theme of we will do harm. We will do harm if we do not centre the voices of those with lived experiences of the very problems we are trying to solve. And so I wanted to acknowledge that that expertise, that it is expertise that the children offer us, needs to be continuously called on and centred throughout the rest of our ongoing work. Now we've set the targets, now is the rest of the ecosystem structural work on what we do about those. I wanted to, because so going forward from this bill is then about the actions that we hopefully put through as a whole of house parliamentary team for the well-being of tamariki, and that is going to have to include systemic and transformational change across all of the other systems and public core agencies like education, health, housing, justice, and so on and so forth. So we cannot, and I think there will be agreement, we cannot look at child poverty in a vacuum, in a narrow vacuum. It is all relative and it is all connected. And for that, I trying my hardest to be pleasant, but I think a little bit of politics is in order. I do pick up on the term, where is it, welfare dependency. This is about people having adequate incomes. This is about the fact that we have kept incomes low, that house prices and rents are incredibly high, and that this is about having a social security system that ensures that people live with dignity, and that wealth is currently held in the arms of a few at the exploitation and on the backs of the majority. So I want to challenge that firm dependency on welfare. Our country's wealth has been dependent on low-income households and communities. I lastly want to acknowledge that poverty does not impact on everyone the same way. And again, this is why a strong, truly compassionate social security system is essential. I want to acknowledge that not having enough income will not be the same if you are a child with a disability, if you are already low-income household. It will further accumulate that harm. If you are Māori, Pacific, refugee, in poverty, we know, it's very clear, impacts on those different groups differently. And for that reason, our measurements are going to have to take that into account. Lastly, I wanted to pick up on, it's clear too that Māori children are disproportionately represented in struggle and hardship and in households with, that do not have enough, and that many of the submissions picked this up as a breach of te tiriti, and Greens absolutely support this, alongside the breaches of, for example, our human rights instruments for people with a disability. We will continue to breach a range of human rights agreements that we have actually signed up for a long time ago if we do not at least acknowledge the different effects that poverty has on different groups of people. With that, I'm incredibly pleased to see this coming to the third reading today. I look forward in the new year to all of us working together to pick up the work to actually reduce poverty for children and their whānau. Kia ora, Madam Speaker.
I call Joanne Hayes.
Madam Speaker, and I rise